Call to order the meeting of October 13th of the Town of Danby Select Board. Please rise for the pledge of the flag, which is now over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Abbott.
Here.
Danby.
Here.
Fuller.
Present.
Haines.
Here.
Powers.
Beth, would you read the procedure for remote access participation, please?
Procedure for remote attendance at select board meetings. Remote access to select board meetings, while not required by law, is offered in order to encourage access and participation for as many of our town citizens as possible. It is understood that a select board meeting is a meeting open to the public, but not a public meeting per se. Business is conducted and votes are cast by board members. Therefore, public attendees, in person or remote, who wish to comment on an agenda action item when it is addressed in the course of the meeting, should indicate such intention during the public comment period at the beginning of the meeting. To maintain order, as well as the efficiency of the meeting, the rules for remote attendee participation are: number one, remote attendees will be muted by online host upon joining the meeting, remaining so unless recognized to speak. 2, intention or desire to speak in order to comment or ask questions will be indicated by use of the hand-raising function of the remote platform. 3, people will be recognized in the order in which the hand-raising function is activated. Online host will alert the chair of the presence of remote questions, comments. 4, remote participants, when recognized, will unmute their device and identify themselves with clearly spoken first and last name. 5, comment or question will be limited to 2 to 3 minutes, after which participant will be muted. 6, general ground rules concerning decorum remain the same as that which is expected of citizens, guests, and board members attending in person. Namely, the speaker will not be interrupted and will not interrupt other speakers. The speaker will treat the proceedings and other speakers with dignity and respect, addressing the issue and not personalities. And we will be reviewing procedures for the online platform and the above standards at every meeting, which we have now done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you tell us who we have participating?
I have Annette Smith, Chris Hardaway and Terry Parker, Doug White, Ed and Andrea Storr, Lauren Dever, Lynn Bondurant and Gary Durr, and a phone number that I can't identify.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we need to set the agenda as our next item of business, and I have passed out some printed agendas with some last minute things that have come up. One of the things I will ask you to cross off is down under the road commissioner's report where it says Cargill's salt quote. Cross that off, please. And does anyone have any other additions or deletions to the agenda?
We're not going to do a treasurer's report, are we?
She left items for us to discuss, so she would like us to have a first reading of those policies, and we have the issue of the backup signature that we need to address.
Okay.
Any additions, deletions, corrections? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to set the agenda as printed with these add-ons.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried unanimously. So, members of the public, now is your turn to comment on any items that you see on the agenda, or if you have something you need to bring to our attention.
Don't have any indication here.
Wow, quiet night. All right. Okay. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of the select board meeting of September 8th, 2022.
I'll make the motion that we accept them.
I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion in the form of additions, deletions, corrections? All those in favor of adopting the minutes of September 8th, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we have as our guest this evening Lionel Jepson, and he will be giving us an updated report on what's going on with the economics of the
Right.
region.
You said I had an hour, right?
Huh? Beth, would you set the timer, please?
For like 3 minutes. So thank you for having us. I'm here with Olivia Lyons, who is our communications and marketing manager. And I know you know, Brad, when you see me, I'm here asking for money. And so I don't want to disappoint you. And so we wanted to give you a brief update on our regional marketing plan. Should we bring it? Do we want us to stand or sit or? what?
However you're,
Wherever you feel comfortable.
I'm gonna sit down.
yeah, by all means.
If I sit right. We are now going into year 7 of our regional marketing plan, and our goal in the beginning was 10 years. And so we're now looking at, when we get to that year 9, we'll be kind of looking back to see how we did. But we're not going to wait that long, and we're going to show you some statistics tonight about how we feel we're doing with regional marketing, and then to remind you why we're doing it to begin with. And why we're doing that is we still have concerns from businesses, both large and small, that they cannot find employees. And we continue to be the second oldest county in the state of Vermont, with Grand Isle being first oldest county. I'm not sure we're getting younger faster than other counties, and we need to bring more people in. And so we're working really hard to do that. We're marketing your town, all the towns in the county, and the activities and things that we have to offer here. So we wanted to show you a couple things and show you what our plan is right now. And the town has been very generous by donating $1,300 a year towards this, basically $1 per person. And Olivia and I are going out to about 10 to 12 different towns who have been avid supporters of this process. And we're just talking to them about why we need the money and how we're going to spend that. We want to be real transparent about we need $130,000, and this is how we're going to spend $130,000. We're going to tell you that we're hoping to get $34,000 from municipalities, and the rest, quite frankly, is coming from the business world, because Rutland Regional Medical Center, the General Electrics of the world, are helping with the process because they know they need people. And our marketing efforts hopefully are bringing in those people. So if you wouldn't mind passing those out. We have a couple extra here, and of course we're not beneath bribery, so when you open this up on the right-hand side, you may see someone you recognize in a picture there. And I just want to briefly walk you through this. So if you look at the left-hand side of this, you'll see our staff. We are quite a small staff, and we have about 8 different committees that are all focused on the same thing, and that is bringing more people here. So we have committees that are policy, events, regional marketing, business development, all trying to bring more people. And our staff is working on that. I'm right off going to ask you to look at the second page, which talks about our annual meeting. And we hope that you will come to our annual meeting and open house of the Hub Co-works, which is a new co-working facility that we're opening on Merchants Row. The purpose of that co-working facility is it will bring in, we hope, remote workers and folks that have skills that our businesses need. And then there's also an annual report from last year, currently being printed. So if you look at the right-hand side, you're going to say, well, we gave you $1,300, well, what's it get us? And you may not get a lot of people moving to Danby, but what we do get are a lot of people moving to Rutland County. And most people in small communities, I shouldn't say most, many, work in businesses that are in Rutland County, maybe outside their town. And those businesses rely on people and more people. So it helps our families and our small communities by bringing more people in, no matter where they move to, whether it's Brandon or Rutland City or Rutland Town or Danby. You'll see in the first handout there, where it says thank you at the top in the little circles, that we know through our program we've had 200 people move here. And we have what we consider to be our secret sauce, which is concierge volunteers. And these are people that Olivia oversees, who when they come into the Real Rutland website, it's realrutland.com, that's our outbound marketing website, they have an opportunity to click on a button that says concierge. And that is a real person, and that real person will answer questions for people that have questions about Rutland County, whether it's moving here or any kinds of questions. We have 30 volunteers then that concierge coordinator works with, and that coordinator will connect people like Brad, you're from California, and you have 3 kids, and you're an educator, I'm just making all this up. We would connect you with someone of your demographic who might have kids who is an educator so that you can talk the same talk with folks. So we know that at least 100 families have moved here. We know that there are more than 200 people in those families that have moved here. And these are folks that have moved through the program because they've actively talked to us and we've answered questions for them. People don't need permission to move to Rutland County, so there are far more people that have moved here than we're aware of, but we do believe that the program is bringing folks in. So that's that page. And Olivia is going to talk to you a little bit about how we target the people we target, because we are using money very carefully, and we're targeting a particular demographic. And Olivia can tell you who we're targeting and where we're reaching out to.
So the next page, the weekend getaway advertisements. We did a weekend getaway at the end of September. We marketed it on social media during the summer, and we got in front of 400,000 people across the country. We targeted these areas because these are the people who have been showing interest in potentially moving here. Most of them, they want to get out of the busy places and get to where it's much more cleaner, it's a better piece of life, people actually care about themselves and each other. And so we targeted these areas. Like I said, we got in front of over 400,000 people, and then we ended up having about 450 people apply for the weekend getaway. And these are people who are actually interested in moving here. From there, it was pared down to about 30 people who were serious about moving here. We talked to them, and then we picked 4 people for families, and they were from California, North Carolina, Texas, and New York City area. And then we brought them here for basically a weekend. One of the families actually ended up putting an offer in on a house in Pittsburgh. They didn't get it, but they're still actively searching, and these families are now, they have a better understanding of our area, and they're even more interested in moving here.
We have put together a great weekend package for them, and we got donations from different businesses. They stayed at Killington Resort, they went to the corn maze up in Pittsburgh. They really had a good time while they were here.
They did a scavenger hunt that was county-wide, so I sent them to every single town in the county, and you'll find something fun. So I sent them to the Mount Tabor Danby Veterans Memorial. That was the Danby spot.
And they were supposed to take pictures of themselves there, and then they came back, and if they had enough pictures, then they got a gift basket from Hathaway Farm?
Baird Farm.
Baird Farm, yeah. And you'll see pictures of who the families were as you go further into the packet. So, and also these graphs, which Olivia has to explain to me every time, but what these graphs will show you is when we're doing a campaign, we get in front of a lot of people. The money that's provided to us allows us to do the campaigns. When our website remains stagnant and we're not reaching out, then you don't get a lot of people that are clicking on your link and looking for information. But when we're actively reaching out, we're reaching out and getting in front of a lot of people. And how we're spending our money is that very last page. And you'll see that we, as I described earlier, are looking for support from municipalities. Monday night, I'm going to the Board of Alderman meeting for Rutland City. We're gonna ask for $16,000. And the mayor's got them queued up. I hope that they'll all say yes. That's $1 a person for Rutland City. And Olivia and I will be going out to our industry sponsors to talk to them about continuing their sponsorship. And then you'll see how we're spending the money. We recently, within the last year, moved away from using a professional firm that was actually out of state. And we said to ourselves, we're going to spend all of our money in state. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're spending all of our money in Wellington County. With the exception of the media buys, because we can't really buy it in the county from Facebook. So wherever Facebook money goes is where that money goes. We're finding success in the program, and just like when COVID hit and Ford couldn't make as many trucks as they wanted to make because they didn't have computer chips, you didn't see any fewer advertisements for Ford on TV because they realized you have to continue, you have to continue, you have to continue. You need to stay in front of people. That's why we call this a 10-year plan. We need to stay in front of people. And so we're back to humbly request funding that you, I believe what you do is you put it on your ballot and you let the townsfolk decide if they would like to support this. And we would love to have you allow us to do that again for the coming March town meeting. That was more words than you wanted to hear. Sorry.
So what we need from you to do that is a letter
Just requesting.
requesting.
And you're looking for the $1 a person, again, roughly the $1,300.
And we can always make a bigger poster of the big as you want. So,
And if you will get us that letter by the end of the year, we start putting the town report together in January.
but we don't feel comfortable sending the letter until we come out and say, would you like us to do that? And if you have questions, because it's your money, and I know there are lots of things you can spend it on. We hope that the town's folks will support us again. It is making a difference.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Don't make it that easy on us.
You better run for the change your mind.
Hey, one quick question. Out of the families that you pick for the holiday getaway, what kind of criteria do you use to narrow that group down?
As far as the demographics or who picked
Personnel type.
personnel, it was people who have a good grasp on what Vermont is and that we could see actually fitting in here and contributing back to the community.
So there were 450 of those that put their name in. Part of whittling that down was they had to set up a call with Olivia. They had to do a Zoom call, and that kind of whittled it down there. You know, everybody will stay up at midnight, you're scrolling through your phone, and you say, yeah, I'll apply for that. And you put your name in, but then you never hear from them again. But there were, I don't know, 40 or 50 people that did a Zoom call with Olivia that were very serious about wanting to come. So then we had all those criteria. We wanted to know, do they have the types of jobs we want? Most all of them did. And so all those names went in a hat. And then we just said, okay, these are the 4 that are going to come. It was very interesting when you look at those pictures at the ages. Almost all the same ages. And all either have a family or are ready to have a family. So it was very interesting, the folks that wanted to come. And what we're finding in large part is we're getting a lot of climate refugees. That people from, and that's why if you look at that list, it's hot where they live, there are fires where they live, the air is not good where they live, they're running out of water where they live. And they see Vermont as a place that's safe. And that's pretty exciting for us to hear, bad for them, but good for us.
Thank you.
And we also had the COVID refugees, but we're not quite sure how many of them are going to stay. You know, you look at Killington, it doubled its population during COVID. Will they stay or will they not stay? A lot of second homeowners came up here and it was kind of their escape route. I'm not sure they're going to stay.
We have plenty of water down on Depot Street. We're not quite sure what to do with all that.
It's gonna be raining, and it's raining right now. We always appreciate your time, and we enjoy coming out here. Sorry we were a little bit late. It was raining, so Olivia maybe drive slower. We can always come back and answer any questions you have. We can talk about economic development and all the other stuff. One item that we're very excited about, or a couple actually, is we've received some recent grants. We're almost feeling a little bit like the dog that caught the car. Now we got to figure out what to do, because we now have money from the government that will help us bring a water line across the road at the industrial park. And why that's significant is that will allow us to grow more manufacturing facilities in the industrial park. So we now have money through the Northern Borders grant process that we're going to be working on getting that water across the road. Hopefully that'll bring more manufacturing, more jobs, and hopefully more high-paying jobs. We also received a grant for our hub Culvert, which is the co-working facility, and we're hoping again to bring folks in who will be doing remote work. So,
How much more room is there for growth at that industrial park?
there are quite a few acres there, and much of it is owned by the Beldens, I believe, a big part of it. So already we know we could put a couple 100,000 square feet of buildings in that location, which would be a real boom for the region. It would be nice to have the health plant be able to have a bigger water supply. I think they'd like to have a bigger water supply than what they have right now, probably safer for their operation. So
There's sewer there, but there's no water
there's sewer that goes through there, correct?
at the industrial park, yeah.
Goes to the city, yeah.
Good.
That's what we have.
Okay,
Appreciate your time.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it's nothing you said, but we might leave.
Yes, you may leave.
Okay. Thank you.
So, moving on, I do not see Shelley Taylor here, but we have two members of the Planning Commission. Do you have anything to tell us?
I wasn't on the last meeting, so.
Mr. Heaton?
In the last meeting, Shelley provided a bunch of updates on the various committees that she's on. That's what's back in the minutes from all of them, but basically, we're back to the Rutland Regional Planning Commission. There's the hazard mitigation plans you spoke about, there's various updates. Some questions regarding whether the town actually, whether you guys actually went forward with the Cannabis Control Commission. You know, there's some talk about that, because we don't really know if you guys actually did that or not.
Oh, yeah, we did that.
In a nutshell, Brad, that's what it was.
Okay.
Here's the updates. It wasn't anything like earth-shattering, just the town's trying to get that mitigation plan before the end of 2022, because some of the rules are changing from FEMA. And once you get that adopted by the end of 2022, it's been for 5 years.
Good for 5 years.
So that was one of the big pushes, trying to make sure that was done,
Yeah.
adopted, but.
Yeah, we have another meeting coming up. We're emailing back and forth today on that. And then I think we're ready with the final draft, and we should be able to get that adopted in December. Okay, thank you, Greg. For the treasurer's report, Jennifer could not be with us this evening, but she asks that we put some policies that she'd like to have us adopt. She'd like a first reading on those. Does everybody have this page that
Which one are you gonna read first?
talks about Town of Danby cash receipts, petty cash, and return check policy? So for the benefit of people that do not have this in front of it, I will read it. The purpose of the cash... Did somebody say something?
No.
The purpose of the cash receipts policy is to establish proper management practices over cash, checks, and other receipts in order to instill public trust in town operations, to safeguard public funds and to provide accurate, reliable, and timely information upon which financial decisions are made. Authorized personnel. For internal control purposes, only the following officers, employees, and volunteers are authorized to receive funds on behalf of the town of Danby: treasurer, assistant treasurer, town clerk, assistant town clerk, collector of delinquent taxes, and dump attendant. Proper payee. All checks or money orders shall be made payable to the town of Danby. No money shall be made payable to a town officer, employee, volunteer, committee, or board. Receipts. All funds remitted to the town treasurer's office shall include a detailed description of the source of the funds, date of the payment, and account to which it shall be applied in the cash receipt system. Tax bills are to be dated when paid in person, and method of payment is to be indicated. When a taxpayer pays with cash and does not provide a tax stub to stamp a carbon copy numbered receipt, ticket shall be issued as proof of payment and must be signed by the official receiving the monies. Safeguarding funds. Safeguarding of funds prior to deposit with the treasurer is the responsibility of the authorized personnel receiving the funds. All coins, currencies, checks, and money orders are to be retained in a secure location and will be deposited to the treasurer on a not less than monthly basis. Large deposits with over $700 cash shall be deposited to the treasurer on the same day and shall be maintained in a secure location until such time as can be transported by the treasurer to a banking institution, which shall be no less than 48 hours after the treasurer receives the funds. Smaller cash deposits will be deposited by the treasurer once per week. Petty cash. A base petty cash amount shall be established by the treasurer. Petty cash must be stored in a secure location such as a locked drawer or vault. Only authorized personnel shall have access to the petty cash location. At all times, there must be maintained a written record of the balance and receipts paid from petty cash. The total of receipts added to the cash balance in the petty cash box must at all times equal the predetermined petty cash amounts. Under no circumstances will personal funds be used to compensate shortages. All discrepancies must be brought to the attention of the treasurer immediately upon such discovery. Return checks. A return check shall be recorded in the accounting system against the revenue in which it was originally posted if the check is not replaced. The bank has already attempted to redeposit the check to sending notice to the town of the return. Therefore, the treasurer will notify the check writer and inform them that their check did not clear and advise that there is a $20 returned check fee. Thereafter, full payment must include the full amount due and the return check fee. If a check writer has multiple return checks in a one-year period, payment must be in the form of cash, money order, or bank certified check. And then it has the adoption date. So with policies, they need to have 2 readings. This is the first reading. I will entertain discussion on this.
All right, I got 2 stupid questions here. It says treasurer, the money should be deposited to treasurer not less than a monthly basis. Shouldn't that be, I'm not sure how it should be worded, but should it be on a monthly basis? Because the wording to me just sounds off.
Where are you? You're on safeguarding funds.
Yeah,
And then below,
not less than monthly basis.
and below that it says, for the $700, which shall be no less than 48 hours that the treasurer will receive the funds. I would think that would be no more than 48 hours.
Yeah, it should say no more than 48.
To be retained. Unpaid, not less than monthly basis. Not less than monthly basis. So you're concerned about the not less than monthly basis? Is that what you're?
Well, that's just a stumbling block for me there. Is it trying to say that it needs to be more frequently than monthly, or?
It needs to be more frequently than monthly. Not less, right? Not less than monthly basis.
Well, it can't go over
It's-
a month, is
yeah.
what this is saying.
Right. Large deposits or some cash shall be deposited to the treasurer on the same day. I guess, if you want to go back to that, isn't that quite an amount of time to a month sitting on
Yeah.
that money?
There's an extra word in there, it seems.
I would think that, how often did you deposit money?
Turn, like, get a deposit together, I just turn them over about every 2 weeks,
Every 2 weeks?
roughly.
Yeah.
I think it might read better if it said will be deposited to the treasurer. Deposited to the treasurer.
Treasurer is responsible and authorized person receiving the funds. All coins, currency, checks, and money orders are to be retained in a secure location and will be deposited to the treasurer.
How about if it said to the treasurer within 30 days?
It would be more clear that way.
Yeah.
You got any input on this policy? That
Yeah, the way when Brad read it, it sounded to me like she doesn't want any deposits coming into her until after 30 days, so it means they're gonna hang on to the money.
No,
Yeah, and I don't
I
think
think,
that's
I
what
think
she
they want it in under 30 days, so I guess you wouldn't want any money held on to more than 30.
Right.
The way it read and sounded, it sounded to me like, yeah. So-
Well, and that's the thing is, we need it to be clear so we all understand it.
No, I mean, every couple of weeks works the best
Yeah.
for me. I mean, a lot of times there'll be cash, a lot of times it's just checks, so when there's cash, I try to get it to her quicker.
Well, do you want to make it deposited to the treasurer within 15 days?
I mean, I'm fine with that. We just need to clear this wording up because
Yeah.
it's.
So I guess I wanted Dougie's input on it too, because the thing is, that there's a rhyme and reason why you do the dates you do. And if there's anything that, it's,
The main thing is if I've got cash, I turn them over to her quicker.
Right.
right,
Checks, I'll hang on to them for a while until I got a decent deposit, and then I'll turn them over. But when I've got cash, I like to.
Yeah, it sounds like
Turn it over as quick as I can.
treasurer on the same day and, okay. This policy says large deposits with over $700 cash.
Well, let's get
Sure.
through this
Okay.
first sentence first. Be retained in a secure location and will be deposited to the treasurer. Do you want to make it within 15 or 30 days?
15.
Good with that? Makes
Either way,
sense?
as long as you're saying within.
Right.
That way it leaves room so you can turn it in 15 if you want to.
So we're gonna make that within 15 days.
To the treasurer within 15 days.
Okay, so large deposits with over $700 cash shall be deposited to the treasurer on the same day.
Now, does that, see, that's where it comes into, is that possible?
With her here 2 days a week, sometimes it isn't.
Um,
That's gonna be a tough one.
so what,
And that should say it on the same day as received.
and shall be maintained in the
That's kinda hard to
series.
do too.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing is now we're putting a policy in place that may be impossible.
Right.
So I want to make sure, and kind of Dougie's more or less the one that can help steer on this, because what's practical?
I would think within a week,
Within a week, that's what I was gonna say, within a week.
because if Doug gets something on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you got to be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta leave.
Now, oh my God, I got to leave the house right now.
Yeah,
Run.
you gotta leave some time to be able to
Yeah.
make the transaction.
So large deposits with over 700 shall be deposited to the treasurer within 1 week.
Makes more sense.
And should be maintained in a secure location.
So to the treasurer within 1 week. I hate redoing these. And shall be maintained in a secure location until time at which transported. Well, that's not speaking to the person, but it's still within a week. I guess it's up to you to make sure it's secure for the week. And shall be maintained in a secure location until such time as it can, be transported by the treasurer to a banking institution, in which shall be no less than 48 hours after the treasurer.
Should be no more than 48 hours, right?
Yes, should be no more than,
Right,
you have to hold it for 48 hours.
right.
No more. Are you getting all these? Because you're gonna have to read it differently next time. 48 hours after the treasurer receives a smaller cash deposit will be deposited by the treasurer once per week. You want to read that whole thing again, just so you're following it too now?
I can make it work.
Okay. No, I'm just, it's
Yeah.
kind of,
As long as you get it away from the same day, I mean, that could be impossible.
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's,
Within a week is perfect.
So it's within 15 days and within 1 week over 700
In cash.
Yeah.
And no more than 40.
and no more than 48 hours. That seems pretty good.
the treasurer has no
Right,
more than
yes.
48 hours, not
Transport to the bank.
Tim.
Right.
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 Okay, so with those three changes, we're good with the first reading?
There's other guys to look at.
Okay,
My only question is the $20 return charge. Does that actually cover us for what we get charged?
well, I believe that's what she's saying. I'd have to ask her.
You thinking the banks might be more than that by now?
I'm
Because I
thinking-
just saw something where banks are charging $30.
That's what I was leaning toward. I thought it was a $30 charge for an overdraft.
So we should probably know what it is, or did you want to just throw a number at it that,
Unless they've changed it, they never used to charge a municipality.
oh, really?
All the ones that ever came back when I was there, we never get charged for them.
Well, see, now People's Bank has been taken over by M&T,
Said like it changed.
so I think that's what happened.
Now, the only thing with that is, what if we adopt this policy? I guess we would have to revisit it if they
Yeah, you
change.
can always amend.
Well, why don't we just cross out the dollar figure and have it that there is a return check fee? And whatever the fee is what it
Probably
is.
state it, do you?
And the writer is responsible for the return check fee. Does that work?
Are we gonna stick with 20, or, I'm not
saying
sure if
that
we,
the writer of the check is responsible for the return check fee, and that way we don't have to amend it every time the bank.
Right, if we just
Sends you a
scratch the
little note.
$20 figure out of there, it's, you're
The bank
responsible for the
charges
fee.
for it is
Okay,
what
that there
they're
is
responsible for.
there is a return check fee.
Okay.
I wonder
So,
if that has to be posted, though. I guess maybe not, but
we'll notify the check writer and inform them that their check did not clear and advise that they are responsible for the return check fee.
Stated by the bank.
They advise that their check did not clear and advise them that there is a return check fee.
Okay, I'll read this one more time so that we're clear on it. Therefore, the treasurer will notify the check writer and inform them that their check did not clear and advise that they are responsible for the fee.
Say that one more time, Brad.
Sure. Therefore, the treasurer will notify the check writer and inform them that their check did not clear and advise that they are responsible for the return check fee.
They are responsible for the return.
So we crossed out the words, there is a $20 and replaced it with the words, they are responsible for the. Good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the first reading of cash receipts, petty cash, and return check fee. Now, the town of Danby tax collection policy. It's a little shorter. Purpose: to establish a public policy that provides clarity regarding tax collection, due dates and times, and proper forms of payment related to tax payments. Proper payee: all checks or money orders shall be made payable to the town of Danby. No money shall be made payable to a town officer, employee, volunteer, committee, or board. Receipts: tax bill remittance. That's the wrong word there. Tax bill remittance are to be made, is to be made.
And paid in person.
Tax bill remittance is to be dated when paid in person and
No, that's right. Tax bill remittance are to be dated when paid in person. And method of payment is to be indicated.
Now, remittance is, remittance are is not,
Remittance is singular, so.
Yes.
It's
tax bill remittance is to be dated when paid in person and method of payment is to be indicated. When a taxpayer pays with cash and does not provide a tax remittance slip, a carbon copy numbered receipt ticket shall be issued as proof of payment and must be signed by the official receiving the monies. Due dates: property taxes are collected annually, generally in November. Due dates are clearly marked on all tax bills, which are mailed no later than 30 days before the due date as required by 32 VSA subsection 4772. In order for a payment to be considered timely, it must be received in the treasurer's office by close of business on the due date, except that United States Postal Service postmarks on or before the due date shall be accepted, provided that payment is received in the treasurer's office within 5 days of the due date. Only USPS postmarks are accepted, not metered postmarks. Forms of payment: the town of Danby does not accept credit or debit cards or digital payments, EFT, ACH, etc. Cash, checks, or money orders are the only acceptable form of payment for tax collection. Comments?
On the the United States Postal Service postmarks on or before the due date shall be accepted. Now, why are we putting in I mean, if it comes in 6 days because of the Postal Service, it's not their fault, is it? I mean, if you put it in the mail previous to the due date, I mean, why are we putting a date on that? I would think that as long as it's postmarked. I mean, the United States Postal Service, I don't believe can be,
Yeah, I agree with you, and I was just told by our attorney of a case where it took a document 45 days to get between two towns that are not very far apart from each other.
but why is it the person who mailed it's fault? Why would we want to?
I can't see crucifying someone for.
And otherwise we'd have to go through an abatement, or there would have to be a,
So I think I would just leave it as the postmark and strike that, 5 days. Due date should be accepted, provided that the payment. Yeah, just put
just
a
the United
period after the word accepted.
yeah.
Yeah, and cross out that whole provided payment to receive.
If you want to leave only USPS postmarks are accepted, so maybe put it
Yes.
as a comma.
Yeah,
And then United States Postal Service postmarks on or before the due date shall be accepted, comma, only USPS, or would that be
Yeah.
period, and then end of sentence.
yeah, that's better. That's not putting it at the whim of the post office on someone personal.
Okay, are we good with that? And then we have Town of Danby small credits and small amounts due. Purpose of this policy is to reduce costs associated with tracking, refunding, and collecting minuscule credits and amounts due caused by taxpayer errors during collection of tax payments. Small credits. The Town of Danby will establish a policy to eliminate credits under $10 after tax collection is complete each December. Small amounts due. The Town of Danby will establish a policy to abate small amounts due under $10 after tax collection is complete in December.
I guess, so we can all pay our taxes $9.99 under the thing. That could add up.
That could add up.
I mean, 1,300 tax bills or whatever, and everybody decides that the $9.99 is our policy. I know it's a handling thing, but, you know, there's a lot of, you know, the counting the pennies is still counting the pennies in this world. And my feelings are this policy really is just saying we want to be sloppy with our accountant a little bit, because pennies are still pennies. Unless somebody has a reason that collecting $10 or $5 credits aren't worth doing. Is this Jen's was looking for this one, or?
Oh, yeah, she offered all of these.
I have concerns with this one, especially in the first reading. Steve?
I think I'd just strike the whole thing, but
Scrap it.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking at. 'cause
I'm thinking,
how many times, Doug, have you gotten tax bills that were $10 short?
Cent short, cents over, cent short, but dollars, maybe a couple in 7 years.
and how did you always handle
I
it?
always sent a letter to them saying you underpaid by $10, $5, whatever, and I always sent a check in. But there's not that many of them. You know, by pennies, you're all the time getting them off by 4 or 5 cents. How I handled those is if they were underpaying it by 4 or 5 cents, I put it out of my own pocket in cash and it made it clean. So that's how I handled it.
But if we were to do a policy, do you think $1 would be a number, or do you think this policy makes?
The $10 number is a little.
It's a little steep, because first thing I thought of was underpaying mine by $9.99.
That seems a little steep. I could see maybe $1.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go with
Especially since a stamp is, what, almost 60 cents now.
So maybe if we did the policy at $1? Or do you want to still go with the scrap it and let's keep pennies right to the penny, and it's part of our,
Well, now we're getting into how much are we gonna spend to chase after 20 cents? Cause if we're gonna.
well, the federal
60 cents-
government's still spending, 3 cents to make a penny, so.
Is there a problem with getting that shortage? I mean, is there an issue out there now? Or we are creating?
I guess not to cut him off, but is it more than a day's worth of work screwing around with this?
Like I said, if it was only off by cents up to $1, like I said, just to clear it up, I usually pay it out of my own pocket to clear them up is what I did. It's just how I handle them, and if they overpaid, what happens is it goes into a credit, and then next year it would credit their tax bill. So if they had a $10 overpayment, I would leave it for the whole year in the system, and it just stores it in there as a credit for that person. I wouldn't want to clean it.
I would say we scrap the policy.
That's what I'm leaning toward.
It just credits the tax bill for the next year.
Unless Jen's got a really good argument to keep.
She can bring it to us and,
Right, at the next one.
and we can add it to the
Okay.
thing, so I would say,
We're gonna say not accepted. Okay, so that takes care of the policies that she wanted us to look at. And the next item under her report is, we have a system where 2 people sign the checks. The chairman of the select board and the town treasurer. So, each of those 2 signatories have a backup. And that would be the vice chairman of the board and the assistant treasurer. So now we're into a situation where the vice chairman of the select board is about to become on Monday an employee of the town and would be in a position of
writing his own paycheck.
writing his own paycheck. So, to remove any,
Potential conflict of interest.
there you go, that's the words I was looking for. It would be a wise idea to have someone take over as a backup to me.
Kenny?
Yeah, I can do that. I'll just Janice have contact me and I can come up and put the.
We gotta make a motion?
Well, we
Yes.
need a motion to authorize, because that's what we do at our reorganization meeting every year. So first, we will have a motion to rescind Steve Haines as a backup signature on town checks, and then we will have another motion to authorize Ken Abbott Jr. as a backup signature on town checks, and then Ken will get together with Jen and get the signature cards and so forth.
Okay. Steve, you wanna make a motion?
I'll make the motion that I be taken off as the second signer of the checks and that we appoint Ken Abbott to be the second signer.
I'll second that.
Okay, did you get that, Drea? Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's done. So now we come to the part that Doug has been patiently waiting for the last hour. And that is the delinquent tax collectors report.
Okay, so I'll start off with just a summary, just letting you know the current position that we're sitting in. As of today, we're looking at, there's $38,200 still delinquent. And that is 23 properties that make this up. 23 properties out of 856 buildable properties, so we're in pretty good shape, I believe. We've got 3 tax sales that are scheduled for October 18th. And after those tax sales, the amount due still will be $26,200 at that point. The 3 sales that we have scheduled, one of them is a piece of land only up on Timoth Road, just north of the firehouse, between Don Sharon's old house and the Fitzgerald log cabins. It doesn't have a parcel 911 number because it doesn't have any, it's just land only. But that's where the location is. That property is valued at $45,000 on the lister cards. And the amount of a minimum bid on that property is going to be roughly $2,000. It'll be under that, but I have to throw just a rough estimate out there. It is a 10-acre lot. The second piece is over on Green Hill Road. It's on 1711 Green Hill Road. This is a house and land. I believe that it had, the acreage was 2.5 acres. And this house and land is valued at $145,900. Minimum bid on this property is going to come in at, I thought I printed it, but I didn't. I sent an email, but I didn't print that part out. Let's see if I can put it down here. That one, I believe, if my memory is right, it was around $11,000 for a minimum bid on that property. It was something like that. It might be off on it, but it seems like that's where it was at. That property is delinquent for 3 years, 2017, 2020, and 2021. The minimum bid on that property is going to be $13,000, sorry. Just a rough guesstimate. And the third property that we have is, it's an unlanded mobile home, so this doesn't have any land at all. And this mobile home is located right at Danby Four Corners where Timoth and Pollock Road meet. That property, like I say, it's only the mobile home, so it's an unlanded mobile home. And that is valued, this lister card was changed, so the value of the mobile home is going to be got outbuildings that were a mistake on this card, so I'm trying to pull these outbuildings off. I believe it's valued at around $8,000. That property has multiple years delinquent. It actually ranges from, I believe, 2013 to present. 2013's tax bill was $107. 2015's was $171. It probably should have been tax sale sooner than it is, but wasn't. Total amount due property tax wise is $3,050, and the minimum bid on this property is going to be close, roughly $4,000. And what I need from the select board tonight is to have a few motions. The first one would be a motion to approve that we move forward with these 3 sales. The second motion would be to decide if the town wishes to bid on any of these properties in case no one shows to bid. And the third one would be to designate a town official to be here to vote, if they so choose to. I'm going to recommend that you don't vote on the trailer, but the only problem, if that happens and nobody bids, is they keep stacking years.
I think that's the same as the one that happened before him,
Yeah.
and we had to, because it's like anything, we have to be custodial to the town.
Well, I
And
have a feeling that you said that goes back to 2013. I think there's a few years that are over the limit.
No, it's 15 years. You can go back 15 years. So this one goes 2013 present, so we're talking 11 years.
and that's the one that's coming up Tuesday.
Yeah, those years are all collectible. This when you go back over 15 years is when you can't collect them.
It seemed to me that the property up on Scottsville Road only went back to like,
That had 1 year that was back farther, and then there was a skip where they had paid, and then it started, so it had the 1 year that was, I think it was 2007, I think was that year that
Okay.
we had to
And we ended up getting out from under that, right?
get that one.
Yeah, and I mean, we went under that in the same
I-
premise, that we gotta do what's right for the town, and if they're not paying the taxes, the town has to take it, even if it's,
right.
so, I mean, I guess,
Sullivan's Crag.
I know what you're saying is it, the value's gonna be negative for the town, but the thing is, the town still has to do its job of, on the, and, you know, the property that we did that, and it ended up working out all right. So, you know, we could hope that maybe this one does too, and even if it doesn't, the town still has to, do
Okay,
that.
so the first motion would be to authorize the 3 tax sales.
The first motion is actually gonna be to state if you guys wanna move forward with these 3 sales. Or if you have one that you don't wanna move forward with, I mean, that's the first motion, just so that Kevin O'Toole knows.
I'll entertain a motion to move forward with the 3 tax sales.
I'll make the motion.
Motion is made, is there a second? Motion is made and seconded, is there any discussion? I think we already had the discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now the next motion you're looking for, Doug, is,
For you guys to decide, do you guys wanna bid on these properties if no one shows to bid?
okay. So I'll entertain a motion to have the town bid on these properties if there are no other bids.
I'll make that motion.
Motion is made, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded, is there discussion? No discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And the next motion would be to authorize a town official to bid on these properties. I am unavailable next week, and I've asked Steve if he would do it, and his boss had said that he can have that hour to conduct the town business. So I would entertain a motion to appoint Steve Haines to bid on the properties for the town.
I'll make a motion to appoint Steve.
I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of appointing Steve Haines to bid on the properties for the town, if there are no bids, please say aye.
Aye.
There you go. All set?
That's it for me.
All right, thank you for coming down on this rainy evening.
Thank you.
And thanks for the help on the others.
I don't know if it was helpful.
Any clarification we can get?
Yeah, no, I mean, I hate putting policies in place that don't work, because then we have to.
Okay, so now we will move on to the road foreman's, or road commissioner's report. And as far as the current policies, I believe, well, I'm gonna.
Projects.
Run the show. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You had the one you got here with the engineer thing, if you want to start.
That's actually under old business, that's coming up
Okay.
down below.
Do you want to do the policies of risk management?
Did you want to tell us about what everybody's been working as hard as they possibly can on?
Yeah, well, we're 80% through getting our winter sand up, for the year. The grading is probably in the same percentage wise. We're in good shape for our winter season. All our blades, we were able to get our chains for our trucks, tires. So, we're as ready as we're gonna be for winter. And hopefully, we've got enough salt. And that's it for that part.
Okay. And the policies, I believe you said you'd like to have a committee review them.
On our contract for highway maintenance and repairs, I think we should probably review that under a committee and before we actually make it a policy. And, I mean, I'm willing to be on the, Kenny, you had said you would, and Steve, you...
Well, you gotta be careful with 3 people.
Oh, that's true. I guess,
Yeah, I mean, just go through it and
yeah.
I don't have any problem with that. We can just review it and adopt it and we'll be good.
Okay. Well, we'll bring it back to the board with our recommendations.
For the November meeting. So I'll appoint you and Kenny as a committee to study the highway policies as recommended by Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
Unless, no, that's good. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Now we need to decide on purchase Brook Culvert replacement.
I didn't plan on coming to say anything in particular. Just thought I'd show up as a show of respect and to hear what you guys decided. Does anybody want a refresher on the project, or are you guys?
Short one?
Yeah, I can keep it real short.
Yep.
So I don't know if you guys have the reports in front of you or not. 2 options for the bridge replacement for the culvert. I understand it's not a huge flood mitigation issue. It's more an aquatic organism passage project trying to get access to higher headwaters for brook trout. I believe one was $350,000. Still working on finding grants without match requirements, which has become more difficult. There's been some policy shifts with some of our funding partners that previously they weren't requiring any match and now they are. So we're looking for new funding partners on that. The other was, I believe, the steel stringer bridge at $425,000. So just let me know which ones you guys are interested in pursuing, and I'll come back with 100% designs, and if we like it, we can go from there. If not, we can put it on a shelf for another day.
And we're replacing
The culvert.
the culvert that really isn't in all that bad of a shape.
Yeah, and he had just pointed out that it's more for the aquatic, how did you say it? It sounded good the way.
Aquatic organism passage is the magic
I had-
word that the feds state like hearing. It's restoring about 2.5 to 3 miles of brook trout spawning habitat is the real objective. If we get another really big storm like we have in the last few years, it might cause some issues, but the real purpose of the project was to increase high headwater habitat, cold water habitat for spawning brook trout.
Now,
It's-
go ahead.
Is there another alternative to replacing the culvert as doing more of a step type on the discharge side rather than spending so much money?
I believe that was looked at. This was a project before my time. I came in pretty late in the game. They decided to go with the 2 bridge options simply because I believe it's actually cheaper than going up and over with a step design into that culvert. I think it's gonna have to be replaced if we wanna remove that impediment. There was a third option of 2 side-by-side square culverts that would eliminate that big drop and take the culvert to stream width, which would reduce the undertow and the erosion that's happening underneath that culvert. all about the same dollar amount.
Which one is most conducive to the aquatic?
They're both about equal. I believe the main logic with the engineer going with the second, more expensive design was largely an aesthetic choice. It's going to be a more attractive bridge.
Can we go buy 100 fish and put on the other side? That would save us a lot of money.
I don't believe so, no. And this, like I said, right now I'm working with some reps from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They have an aquatic organism passage grant for culvert replacements. There are some state funds that are available for culvert replacements, so we can cobble together some grants. Really, the decision that we need from the select board is, if we're going to build this bridge, which bridge would you like? And if we can find the money to build it, then we'll build it with your consent and assistance. But if the funding isn't available from state or federal agencies, then it's not.
I guess my question, which I probably could have asked them the first time, is the style of the bridge isn't limiting your funding at all.
No.
So us making a decision, really, it's almost like if you came to me and said, hey, I got $325,000, which bridge do you want? Obviously, it's going to be the $325,000 bridge. So, not that I personally, I think either one would be fine if you were funding them 100% anyways. So, and I don't know if anybody else has any comments, which one, that's why I was asking you, which one was, I guess, the better bridge for the aquatic life.
No, I understand.
And after that, it's about how much can you guys fund, not how much or which one do we want.
Yeah.
At least in, my thoughts.
The only question I would have is there a difference in the lifespan of either of these two bridges? Is one gonna last 10 years longer than the other?
Really,
I'd say go
honestly,
cheaper.
gentlemen, what it is, I have a grant with the Little Champlain Basin program, and this is a box they need us to check, is consultation with the town on which design, because we moved several designs forward, the multiple culverts, and the two bridge designs. We moved the two bridge designs to 60% engineering designs, and we'd like to know if you all have a preference before we move one of those designs to 100%, so we could take that to funders and say, this is the bridge we want to fund.
Well, I think Steve brought up the taxpayers' more relevancy is which one is gonna have a longer lifespan, which if they're saying that they're both gonna have 100-year designs, I would hope is what bridges are now. That,
Yes,
that,
they're going to be equivalent lifespan bridges. I'm just having to stretch my memory. I didn't bring a copy. I believe some of the differential in expense has to do with how the bridge is paved, whether it's paved or not, cladding. They're all going to be similar in their lifespan.
so, I don't know is there any one that we wanna, or could we say we're good with both?
You can say you're good with both, and I can see which my funders are gonna want to maybe move forward with.
Greg has a question. Greg?
Just a quick, so the lifespan is the same, but is there the equivalent amount of maintenance or upkeep to get them through the 100 years? Both those bridges?
So that question is one of those things that I believe we would answer at the 100% design phase.
I would think we want to buy one that has, if we do it, one that has the least amount of upkeep over 100 years.
Yeah. And we would want the one with the least amount of sedimentation flowing off, so paved instead of gravel. I believe one of the options was a wooden decking, which I didn't.
Yeah, that's not an option.
I didn't think that was an option at all.
No.
So yeah, those are the choices. Personally, if just from my personal opinion, having read up on this project, I would probably end up going with the more expensive one. You're not gonna be funding it. If it is, it's gonna be a very minor match, and most likely the materials are gonna be more resistant to weatherization and erosion than it would be if we went with the cheaper road clag.
Paved bridge on the dirt road, is that going to cause pothole issues?
Yeah, it's more common than you think.
Okay.
So, back to, we feel comfortable with an emotions? See, and the thing is, your bridge numbers are 2020, which right now we might swell take that number and say that it's not even in the running at this moment. I guess the only other thing that brings into factor is, did one style go up more than the other? And now are we saying one is 700,000 and the other one is 850, where they swapped around? So there's a lot of things that I know, we're more than happy to help you guys go forward, and it's kind of, we're chasing our tail on some of this stuff. But I guess giving you a good answer.
Yeah, honestly, there isn't a great answer on this one. I've given you guys two options with budgets that are likely, due to inflation and cost adjustments, aren't super on point. And I'm very likely going to have to go back to my engineer and re-estimate. The funding for this grant was spent before I came on the job.
Right.
So I'm just trying to close the book on this one. We may end up having to rescope this project. It'll depend on if I go to a funder, find a contractor who wants to give me new estimates and it's way out of proportion, then we might just have to review the whole project development side of this thing, which would need to know it. But that's the situation we're in. And if you have a preference, great. If not, I can go to my engineer and say, let's get 100% designs on both. See if we can squeeze in a little more time off of them for better cost estimates and be able to move forward that way.
That seems to make the most sense.
Yeah, I think it's, what's going to work on their end is going to have to work for us.
Right.
And
I guess doesn't have to, but if it's gonna work for them, and it's back to the same thing I said, is if they've only got so much money and they want to bring this project to fruition, it does no good to tell them that we want the gold one.
right.
So, yeah, no, I mean, we're very flexible on that as long as the design life is the same as the more expensive one. Okay. So whatever way you guys can work forward with it, in the point of any maintenance issues too, obviously, that we would want to be sure of. So that's kind of the only things that I think the town, would really be concerned about.
Okay. So what I can do then is I'll go back to the engineering firm that we've contracted with, consult with them, and I'll email you guys collectively, let you all know what he said, whether we have any room in the budget on their end, because they're capped at a certain amount that they can build a grant.
Yeah, my concern would be they're not going to design both bridges. Yeah. Someone's got to make the decision. We're just saying that we're very flexible with that decision. That if it's gonna be as good a bang for the buck as for the town, we're not gonna shoot you guys down because we wanted the one, like I said, with the gold sides on it. We're good anyway.
Okay, I can work with that. as long as I have a general sense of what you all are feeling. We don't wanna move forward on anything in your town without. y'all.
Right, and we're not opposed to either one, so I guess that gives you some, pretty good latitude on the design end of it.
Okay, then what I will do is I will consult with my engineer, let you guys know, what he and I come to a decision on. If one of the bridges has a longer life expectancy of 10 to 15 years, would you prefer that bridge over a less expensive bridge that would have?
Oh, I'm sure we would.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's really the answer to the question that when we get down to it, the answer that I need. So I will consult with the engineer, whichever is the biggest bang for the buck. I will let you guys know what it is, and we can move forward on it.
Yeah, no, I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
As hard as that on your part, but as simple as that for us, yeah.
It's simple for me too, because now I don't have to scramble around and find an extra $1,500 to pay the engineer. So yeah, I appreciate your time, gentlemen.
No, we appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we have,
Oh, I don't know. You wanna?
Michael, I'm not sure what his last name was. What did you have?
Fernandez, that's where I went back through my notes about.
Yeah. August.
And this, I don't know if it's anything to do with the road end. Brad handed it to me, so. It's the, eligible projects for, there's a $14,750,000 available, for eligible properties. Let me read just the first part. The flood vulnerable property buyouts outside of the special flood hazard area, buyouts of vacant at-risk properties, floodplain restoration projects, and more information is included in the attached overview. I'm not sure if that's anything that if we have any projects that we want to apply for on this. The problem is it is due by the end of the month.
I can't think of any that apply.
I saw some of the towns were using it on properties that were lost in Irene, but we really didn't have.
Well, we did that already. We bought that Hinton property and.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing we do have is I guess if somebody really can come up with one that makes sense, we've got a couple weeks we'd have to, as a board, get together and
Have a special meeting.
if nobody has any projects, we can't apply for any.
I can't think of anything that's
Well,
flood-related or property buyouts that were.
do we have copies? This was emailed to you?
By Janice. I think it was emailed to everybody, wasn't it?
I didn't have a copy of that one, did you? I'm just saying if anybody wants to look at the criteria on it.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing that one.
I mean, if somebody wants this, I'm more than willing to let
Yeah, I'll read over it anyways and just.
Okay, so that was given to Ken. Okay, so we'll let that stand, that if anybody thinks of something, they'll get in touch with me and we'll have a special meeting, okay? Okay, so the next item of business is a report on the reclassification of Town Highway 11, also known as the Shortcut Road. So the report is, the select board members, Abbott, Powers, Haines, and Bender, met at the east end of Town Highway 11, also known as Shortcut Road, at 8:30 a.m. on October 10th, 2022, per notice of hearing published in the Vermont News Guide and sent by certified mail to all persons identified in paragraph 1, 19 VSA 709. The board members walked the length of the road and observed extensive washouts and an active landslide that continues to wash toward Flower Brook. The hearing was called to order at 9:30 a.m. at the Danby Town Office. Letters supporting the reclassification of Town Highway 11 from a Class 3 to a Class 4 road were received from the Vermont Department of Forests, Parks, and Recreation, Hauser Family Farm, LLC, and Andrea Martin. The select board members agreed unanimously in favor of reclassifying Town Highway 11 to a Class 4 trail. Motion to adjourn at 9:40 was made by Powers, seconded by Haines, and passed unanimously. So, it's the process now that I will entertain a motion to make a decision on reclassification of Shortcut Road. There's a lot of legal wording here. Would you like me to read it, Paul? I probably should for the benefit of the public.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Town of Danby, Vermont, decision on reclassification of Shortcut Road, Town Highway 11. Whereas on September 8th, 2022, the Town of Danby Select Board, on its own motion, initiated proceedings to consider reclassifying from Class 3 to Class 4 Shortcut Road, Town Highway 11, in its entire 0.2 mile length from Lily Hill Road, Town Highway 5 to Danby Paulet Road, Town Highway 1. And whereas notices of the time and date for examining the premises and hearing persons interested were sent in accordance with 19 VSA subsection 709, namely by mailing notice via certified mail to each interested person at least 30 days in advance, by giving notice to the Danby Planning Commission and by posting a copy of the notice in the office of the Danby Town Clerk, and by causing a copy of the notice to be published in the Vermont News Guide, a local newspaper of general circulation in the area, not less than 10 days before the time set for the hearing. And whereas on October 10th, 2022, the Select Board conducted an examination of the premises, and on October 13th, 2022, held a public hearing where it took testimony regarding whether the classification of Shortcut Road would serve the public good, necessity, and convenience of the inhabitants of Danby. That should be October 10th, not the 13th. Hearing took place right after the examination. Now, therefore, based on the inspection and the evidence presented at the hearing, the Danby Select Board makes the following findings of fact. 1. Shortcut Road, Town Highway 11 is a Class 3 town highway running 0.2 miles from the intersection of Lily Hill Road to Danby Paulet Road as depicted on the plan titled Vermont General Highway Map. 2. Shortcut Road is minimally traveled and receives little public use. There are no bridges on Shortcut Road and no other infrastructure, such as retaining walls or box culverts, in which the town has made any significant investment of public funds. No public resources or assets are served by Shortcut Road. 3. Shortcut Road is adjacent to Flower Brook. The bank between Shortcut Road contains an active slide area. Continuing to maintain Shortcut Road to Class 3 standards while addressing the slide would require a significant investment of public funds. Reclassification of Shortcut Road from Class 3 to Class 4 would relieve the town of Danby's obligation to provide summer and winter maintenance, reducing the burden on Danby taxpayers. 4, none of the abutting property owners or the Danby Planning Commission have provided any objection to the proposed reclassification of Shortcut Road. Wherefore, based on these findings and pursuant to 19 VSA subsection 710, the Select Board concludes that the reclassification of Shortcut Road from Class 3 to Class 4 will serve the public good, necessity, and convenience of the inhabitants of the town of Danby, and hereby orders that Shortcut Road, Town Highway 11, be reclassified from Class 3 to Class 4 in its entire 0.2 mile length from Lily Hill Road, Town Highway 5, to Danby Pullet Road, Town Highway 11. This order and its incorporated findings, together with a copy of the minutes of the Select Board's order of October 13th hearing, shall be filed with the Danby Town Clerk for recording. A copy of this order shall also be mailed via first-class mail to each person who received a written notice of the Select Board's examination and hearing. So, I'll entertain a motion to pass this order.
I'll make the motion, we pass it.
Motion is made, and there's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And the motion carried unanimously, so I will pass this around for you folks to sign the order. And we will put the appropriate town trail signs up on there. Okay, so moving on, the next report is on the Depot Street drainage. So, I met with the engineering firm of Sanborn Head, who are hydrogeologists, last week, and we spent about 5 hours going over documents from the past, walking the site, visiting with residents in the area, and I believe everybody has one of these reports in front of them. There are definitely things going on with the groundwater table there. Basements are getting flooding. It's happening in Mount Tabor as well. The chairman of the Mount Tabor Select Board, Phil Lidstone, was part of our group. And Sanborn Head would like to confirm the sources of the nuisance shallow groundwater and study this project. The key questions are: what is the groundwater depth and flow direction? What are the key inputs and outputs of water into the system? What are the primary factors causing the nuisance shallow groundwater conditions? What mitigation measures, for example, engineering solutions, might be available? And if subsurface utilities were to be repaired or reconstructed, what design considerations should be taken to account for shallow groundwater? And they're proposing a general scope of study in 2 phases. The first one being taking data and compiling a project scoping, summarizing and presenting their interim findings, which would probably be a Zoom meeting. And then task 3, groundwater, surface water, elevation measurements, install monitoring wells, deploy electronic data loggers, evaluation study, record water levels with data loggers for a month to catch rain events, and compile results and reporting, estimate water use, estimate water balance for the village area, summary of the findings, recommendations, and meet with the select board to discuss. So they've given cost estimates. Phase 1 would cost between $4,000 and $5,000. Task 2 in phase 1 would cost between $2,500 and $3,000. And then phase 2 would cost between $15,000 and $25,000. Task 4 would be $4,000 to $5,000. So this is what we would be using some of the ARPA money to accomplish.
I know it's gonna sound like a broken record, but, so we've got $38,000 here, potentially. Mount Tabor must have ARPA money. This is 50%. If I went down there, it's about 50% theirs. Did you talk to Phil about anything, bringing it up to the, and so are they good with the $19,000 they could potentially?
I have not heard back from him. He was part of this meeting and he was going to present it to the board. And I forwarded this report to him when I got it yesterday. So I agree with you, it should be a 50-50 deal.
Yeah. Because this on its own is more than I feel we can spend, because this is just helping us get an idea on it. If the town of Mount Tabor is involved in it and we cut it in half, I mean, I think then we are in the ballpark of where we could come up with, you know, a good idea, because I mean, this still is just gonna give us the, and this is them, you know, helping us get where, that's no construction, no anything.
Right.
I mean, potentially there's a lot more here. I mean, I think everyone down there in, what is it, 4 residents or 3 or 4 we have there that are affected.
Well, we have 2. We have the Ackerts and the Griffiths, and then the others are in Mount Tabor. But because of the broken storm drain, now we have others in Danby.
Right, that it's affecting 3 now, or 4. 3, I don't think Falls or Kim's getting affected.
Kim is.
Kim is, so Kim and Ed.
Mark is getting it from the broken storm drain.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would love to have all the input we can on it, but we've got to still look at how much we're talking. And yeah, I think if our ARPA money, this is a good spot to put towards it, but I would be in favor of putting half of it in towards it.
Right, as long as this is a joint effort.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
And I know I'm back to the same thing.
Well, and it's.
And you keep moving forward with it, which is good, like we have to, but we still have to get them to commit with their funds, because it's really gonna probably benefit them more.
When you get to, where's the water gonna go? It's gonna go on Mount Tabor.
Well, that's it, and it really is gonna benefit multiple more Mount Tabor residents, because it goes all the way down through there, than
And there's
Danby
another
residents.
situation that popped up yesterday that your father will be getting a call if he hasn't already.
Haven't heard.
So as far as moving forward with this, I think we've still got to get the town of Mount Tabor to commit. They did a great job for such a quick report.
They did a wonderful job.
And I look forward
So,
to having them work for us.
How about we make the motion that if Mount Tabor agrees to meet us halfway, we'll let Brad proceed.
right.
Yes.
because
I'll make that
otherwise we're just
motion.
gonna keep
I will second that.
Okay. Any more
Motion
discussion?
to proceed if
If Mount Tabor,
gets to.
yes, sounds excellent.
No, I think it's only fair, and if they've got the money, ARPA money, they should wanna get the best bang for their buck on that.
Okay,
Can I ask,
yes.
and the report, will the report be published on the town website at all?
The final report or this document?
Well, I would
that-
say any of it as it
I think
goes
that one's,
along.
I mean, that one's public now. It's,
Yeah,
it's,
So is there a way to do that, that you can?
I'm sure there is.
Okay, great.
I'll give you mine, Beth, if you want, and you can,
I don't want to do it.
you're doing such a good job.
Be careful what you ask for.
No, I'm sure it'd be interesting and other people would wanna look at it.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to carry forth with this work if Mount Tabor is in favor of splitting the cost. Any discussion?
I think we had it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I will be in touch with Mr. Ludstone and see what we can do. Okay. Any other old business? Hearing none, is there any new
Wait
business?
a minute, I've got a question
Uh-huh.
here. It's when? Can you whoops. Okay, did I get the wrong?
Yeah,
There you go, gotcha.
yeah, there we go. I just, I wasn't sure when to make this, suggestion, comment, or whatever, but I appreciate that you had to add new things to the agenda this time. But Brad, you added the items, but, at the beginning of the meeting, you didn't state exactly what they were. So I'd wait till the end of the meeting to find out what the new item was, which I'm assuming was the report on, Shortcut Road. So I'm just asking if you could please move add items to the beginning of the meeting. I think you passed around a piece of paper so people there could see them, but those of us on the Zoom meeting didn't know what you were adding.
I believe I read those.
No, not,
No?
you did last meeting, not this meeting.
Yeah, I can't tell you if he did or not without looking at.
I know I said
I
to
guess if you
cross
didn't
off
get it,
the
then we-
one.
Yeah, but you never,
Yeah.
Okay, well, I apologize, I usually do.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Brad.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And that is new business, correct? Is that,
We are under new business now,
okay.
and one item of new business is, we have a meeting coming up, our regularly scheduled meeting on November 10th, and I would like to advertise that as beginning at 6 o'clock in the evening, that we can start working on our budget.
As opposed to 7, that makes a lot more sense.
So we spend an hour before the regular business meeting working on budget. Okay? And let the word go forth that department heads and so forth start compiling information as to what might be needed in the budget for next year. I'm sorry?
Do you need to motion starting at 6 or?
No, I don't think so. We'll just notice it.
Oh.
Is everybody good with that?
Yeah, because we're
Yeah.
only working on budget, the meeting is still at 7, you're saying.
And
But
so
we'll
But it
add-
still has to be,
Well,
not open to the public or?
it is open.
it is,
Okay.
and it has to be warned as a select board meeting because we'll all be
Notice.
there.
Okay.
but we're gonna be working on the budget for an hour first.
So if you want town business, you don't need to show up at 6.
Right.
Meaning, if you want budget, like the
Well, I think I'll provide it.
yeah,
And it
no,
would be helpful if you would,
Sure thing.
okay. Any other new business? Yes,
It's not new to this, but I wasn't prepared to film with the shell, so on the fly there, I missed a couple of things I probably should mention about the legislative meeting. We had one member of the public that showed up, that's Andrew Michael Bust. He says he's been working with the state, kind of to approve signage and businesses that do exist on Main Street. It's not very successful, it's very complicated, very difficult to work with. She wasn't very, impressed with that. Looking for help, recommendations on how to try to move forward with that. Shelley's going to bring it forward to Rutland Planning Commission and for Ed Bull and try to get some assistance possibly, since it is part of the village, which is a designated village, which you would think the state would want to help support that. And then also Danby Village designation runs up, expires, has to be re-upped 2023, so that's something that we're looking into to see, make sure we do that and keep that designation. So anyways, I wasn't ready to fill in.
now are you guys doing monthly meetings throughout the winter now?
Quarterly.
So you're quarterly, so your next meeting's January?
Yes. I'll have to go back to the notes and tell you which day.
Yeah, no, that's fine, I just,
First Thursday.
They'll provide the date.
It's in the minutes. In your beautiful minutes.
I wasn't there.
That's why I didn't know anything. Really right.
The 5th.
I signed, yeah, I mean, it was just the sand and verses and some chains. I don't believe there was anything else in there, no. I guess the only thing I want to follow up on is why.
okay, so any other new business? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Okay, motion to adjourn. And if that clock is accurate, it would be 8:48.
Close enough.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.